Hi, guys. My name is Mo Taramella. I'm Managing Director at Blackwater Tech, and welcome to this workshop. Uh, One of the most common things that I found recently, or the reason why many people have been approaching us, was around they have a successful implementation. They spent a lot of money, got a system in place, but then again, people realize the end users are not actually using the system. They're still going back to spreadsheets, and it's been a common recurring problem. And I kind of thought I'll address that and put a little bit of my learnings into the mix. So just to give you all my point of view, and then off the back of that, pretty much so far, when we've been doing these webinars, we've had a lot of feedback. We've been hearing from other people. There are some things that could be done better, and that's one way we are improving the way we operate, and it's also adding to our knowledge base. I thought I'll quickly share this with you guys. Hopefully, this is going to help you get things off the ground and move into full throttle business growth. Okay, so the topic for today is why D365 users go back to email and spreadsheet. Right. This is I'm talking from a D365 point of view, but this whole webinar has been put together just to give you an understanding from a general system point of view. Pretty much the whole conversation is layered around the business process side of things. If you have any questions, please type into the chat. I will do my best to respond within the meeting. Otherwise, I will get back to you via email. Okay, great. Alrighty. So the purpose of the webinar today is how to get people back, how to build the trust, how to win your end users to be able to rely on the system. Okay, so first step, I'm going to quickly talk about what the leadership point of view looks like. So from a leadership point of view, a project has been sanctioned and projects have been approved, all the build, all the spend, everything that got carried out, everybody put a lot of time and effort into the UAT. As you know, pretty much with all the testing and onboarding on the system, it is quite often not possible to get 100% buy-in. And most of the scenarios we see, even if there's 70% buy-in, people switch over to the new system, right? So in this webinar topic, I tried to organize my thoughts in the format you're looking at on the screen here. So we're trying to understand why workarounds happen and how to find the friction and how to win the users back and how a rescue setup could help you organize all of your effort within this generating trust exercise. Okay. First one, the symptom. Right. One of the common themes that you will see whenever end users are not moving to the new system quite as seamlessly as you think they would, is that the system may be the official operating system for everybody across the platform, but we see people complaining about too many clicks. There is lack of clarity in terms of how the business process is carried out. There's also questions around context and slow approvals. Now, these are the symptoms that identify there is a friction in the business process. In these scenarios, what people tend to do is they switch to email, spreadsheet, Teams, and chat just to get things over the line, because at the end of the day, business goals are business goals. And to be able to achieve those goals, people are relying on methods to get them there faster. Now, you can say that, end of the day, the business process got done and everybody seems to be happy. But there is a consequence, which is, one of the common themes we see, which is there's a data decay. As soon as people start using other tools to store their data, the data is sitting outside the system and it's not seamlessly growing in accordance with the timeline. And that basically makes the distance between two different records on a system have a bit of a gap. So you don't have that seamless journey that is mapped and captured in a single place. It is spread across multiple different areas, and which is why the reason many teams and organizations try to bring a system into the picture in the first place. Okay. So this main symptoms are, there are reasons for decay. There are reasons for why people move away, and one of the most common recurring themes, there's clicks, there's lack of clarity in terms of business process. There's also lack of clarity on the context, when to use which area of the system, or there are slow approvals. Okay. Now, these are some of the ways how people usually bypass. So users usually bypass D365 for 5 main practical reasons. Okay. Now, the themes are speed, ownership, visibility, and confidence and duplication. So people feel like they're carrying out the same step in many different areas, or people are saying, I'm not 100% sure this is this update that I'm doing here is actually worth doing it, or it is completing all the data that is required. So if in a spreadsheet I'm able to see everything in one place, but I cannot, I'm not 100% sure if I put it into the system, it's all accumulating in the right format. So it's a lack of confidence. And then if you talk about visibility, people, depending on how the system has been configured or structured, people cannot see what the handover to the other teams looks like. Here, you might be creating an order, a sales order in a system, but how much of that sales order is going into the invoice or bulk orders or any other subsequent records that you're creating? Or if you're talking from a sales point of view, all right, I'm capturing a lot within the lead, I'm doing all of this heavy lifting, but if that does not move into the opportunity record, then the quote does not have enough information. So I'm trying to keep a backup just in case. So they create another spreadsheet just to give them that confidence and visibility. Okay. The other one is ownership. It's like, I have these records that I'm populating. I don't feel like I need to do so much of data entry. I'd rather focus on getting my, if you're talking from a sales scenario, I'm trying to get a customer in, and my job is to get a customer in, and I'm wasting time on putting all of this information. So having a clear ownership separation across the business process enables people to see this are the data sets that I am responsible for, and these are the ones that I'm going to have to care for and nurture or collect the right amount of information. Okay. Speed, again, if people are able to see the fastest path is not outside the system, again, that would be another reason that could help minimize the friction. Okay. So the question here is, why is a workaround better today? I think that is a constant question we need to keep asking ourselves from a leadership point of view. If there is a workaround, there's a reason why that exists. And instead of thinking about why are people are resistant to change, it's just it's a mindset issue rather than it is a person trying to look for the quickest way to get from point A to point B. Okay, so this is going to be our, I think when we structure our analysis in this format, what we tend to understand is, it's taken away from that blame mindset, which, when in crisis, pretty much there's a shift in how things play out, and they do exist for a reason, right? So switching from why won't they use it to why does the workaround work better? Okay. So I think that is the main question we need to be asking. And then being able to ID or identify and tag the real friction point by naming it and understanding which category it falls into. I think those are some of the initial steps we need to be looking at. Next one, workarounds, what kind of impact they have. Okay, so workarounds become a loop that make D365 less and less useful each week. And I think this is one of the key points we need to drive to all the end users. If the end users are able to understand that as the data within D365 is not in sync or is not collected in real time, the conversation from yesterday doesn't carry forward into the conversation today. There might be a bunch of Teams messages where a portion of the conversation was parked. So we don't have that continuity if we need to look at it 6 months down the road. Okay. The longer this loop runs, the harder it is to trust any format of reporting that we're going to create. And also all the escalation, if we are dealing with customers time and again, any of those escalation points, they're going to be hard to manage and mitigate because we don't have that continuity. And the most common way people respond to these scenarios is, okay, what's the easy way out? So let's give them. So even if there is a breach of contract or breach of terms and conditions where a product returns is happening, and if we are not able to, if we don't have the clear path or history of the conversations, the easiest way is to just give them the return. Let's be done with it. We have other bigger things to fry. Okay. Another key important thing to understand in this scenario is AI. So AI is the thinking capability of a software system, right? So for AI to be able to think, you need knowledge. So similar to human beings, depending on how much knowledge you have, let's say, construction scenario, you are looking at a volume of history of works that have happened. There are certain types of variations that constantly happen with a certain type of client. If you have all the history, AI is able to use all of this past history, the knowledge, and then say, make a conclusion or give you an opinion saying this is what is likely to happen, looking at all this history. But if this history is not available, AI is not going to be able to think. It's going to give you a general answer, which is something you can see from a Google search or something general. So the reason why AI is more effective today is because it's able to think based on knowledge. Okay. So here, the workaround, I think this is one of the pieces that we need to communicate with our teams, which is, friction. The system slows down, it slows down the job overall and the progress forward. And then bypassing, team moves work to email to Excel, and then the D365 becomes late, or a system becomes late in recording. And then overall result is the diminishing trust on the system over time. Okay, so these are this is the journey of how a system does not become useful anymore, and getting everybody up to speed, and also helping them understand how, there was a interview that Elon Musk was doing recently, and where he said the companies or the teams that are able to effectively use AI will replace, even though they are small member teams, they will replace all the large organizations right now who are trying to spend a lot of money on AI implementations. So these are some of the things. I think this is a part of the journey we need to bring everybody on. Okay. Now, how do we find friction, right? So one of the key things, like we looked at it on one of the slides, like I think it was the second slide, where we were talking about how do we name. So we identify and we collect or maintain a record of what the friction point is. It could be speed, it could be, lack of clarity with visibility, confidence, or something else is quicker, right? So we need to record all of these, and the best way to do this is creating your tickets. So having a ticket where you have different friction points being recorded. Some of the examples I have here, if you have like cases being reopened time and again, that is a pattern, that is an indicator for there is a friction point along the user journey. And then there's handoff delays. So let's say you submit a payment application, that payment application is not getting picked up or approved as frequently as you would expect. The other reason you could say is, there are points where people need to chase other people with emails. So if there's a volume, if the user workaround, or if there's an increase in number of or email or Teams messages that you see on certain members of the team, I think that again is an indicator. Capturing all of these, maintaining it in tickets, and then maintaining a record of these help, I think, is the first step. Another way to identify where friction points are happening is maybe carrying out time and again periodic audits, like user interviews. You talk to people time and again, once a month or once every 2 months. You have an exercise where you're talking to all of the users, and these are this is their input, this is their feedback, and capturing that information again helps you understand what is the friction point and what is the prior, or how much of an impact each friction point is carrying out. Okay. Then running everybody through the process workflow. So this is the way you want everybody to use a system. And this is like, if it is documented, you can then play it out to them once every week, and then ask the end users what type of what is working, what is not working, and what could have been done better. It's that kind of a session. Another one is, while we focus quite heavily on identifying these friction points, I think it's important to also understand what are the adoption signals. So in some cases, or in some scenarios, you'll be able to see some users are able to apply it better, and why is that happening? So studying that and capturing those to compare what is working, what is not working. That's another way to capture these friction points, or see what is the positive impact that you're looking for, and how do you enhance that. Okay, so the output is, of all of this exercise, is having a friction map that shows what workarounds cost most of the time, which of these have the highest risk, and which of those are impacting trust to the highest extent. So having this categorization, having this full prioritization as well, it helps you understand which of those are the ones that need to be looked at immediately, or some of those that can wait, so you can plan your work around it. Okay. So the purpose of prioritization, the purpose of identifying and categorization, is to understand which of these are quick wins, and having that list in front of you will give you better control on how to mitigate this issue with people not being able to use the system, or the user adoption. Okay, how do we do this? Now, one of the key features we need to look at when we're prioritizing these friction points is which of these will make the D365 feel faster, clearer, and more trustworthy. So initially, we need to start with changes that are directly impacting the users. If they feel like their daily workflow is having an impact, or it's getting better, they will automatically make that change. And also emphasizing that on the point that we are growing towards more automation to make their life easy. And once the leadership is able to communicate and demonstrate that time and again, the adoption is going to be more streamlined. Okay, so identifying or prioritizing quick wins. First, I would look at what is the shortest. What are the friction points that have shortest route to achieve? So what is the how quickly can you deliver? Okay, is it simplification of forms? Is it simplification of queues or business processes? Is it managing what are the approval areas of the system, communications and handovers that you're able to do within the system? And again, are there any other fields that we can quickly add to make that easy? So shortest route, I think that would be the first thing that I would look at. The next one I would suggest is making ownership visible. Right. One of the common themes that I've seen across projects so far is there are different areas of the system and there are different fields, but there's nobody owning that data. So if it is a sales team, we need to be able to say, okay, all the lead related records are within the sales team. If it's project managers, all the project related records are within their remit. Whether they're updated or not, you can carry out a frequent audit. Let's say probably initially you can start once a month, and then maybe taper it down to once in every 3 months or once in every 6 months to be able to see, okay, this team was able to achieve 100% in terms of data collection and data gathering, and also maintaining, or what is the quality that they're able to input into the system. Okay. So once we're able to assign this ownership to different teams or even users, depending on the size of the team, at that stage you can say, okay, whatever data is being generated by this particular team has a high quality. You can trust it. And if we're able to make it visible, this reporting, if we're able to make it visible, then everybody across the board are able to see that, okay, there is value adding all of these fields. There's value in inputting all of these data into the system. Okay. Now that's the second one. The third one I would look at is how do we improve, right? So you have a case, you have a project like a job, and these are some of the information that you're capturing currently. Is there anything better we can do? For example, maybe you have a quote. There's a quote template that you're automatically generating from something like D365. In that scenario, what can happen is maybe there is more than 70% you're bringing in from the system, and you still have to type a volume of information before you can send it to the client. Now, having as much as you can from the quote into the template in D365 will minimize how much data entry you need to do before submitting to the client. So how do we improve these records? I think that's got to be a constant exercise as well. Okay. Last one, I think we briefly touched upon this one earlier. It is about we having useful reporting. If we are able to demonstrate, okay, team A, team B, team C, they're able to produce a volume of input into the system, and this volume of input has visibly minimized, say, when everybody's creating a quote, maybe you're creating a payment application or any of these questions that are coming from the customer, even though initially, like the actual executives, like people who are doing the field work, like on the boots on the ground, if they are only, their area of focus is only around the volume of information they're entering, but they don't know what the finance person is doing. The finance person is probably chasing why is there a delay in payments, right? So sometimes it's back and forth, all the questions that the customer is able to raise, and they have to respond to them before customer approves the payment. So if the user at the front of the process, like the executive, is able to see, okay, because I added all of these, the finance team is able to generate payments quickly. I think that right there is going to give them an evidence, or show them the value that they are generating by adding all of these. So reporting, again, it's going to be one of the key items to have on the quick wins prioritization. Okay. Now, how do we implement all of these? So we talked about, what are the friction points? What is the, how do we record them? How do we prioritize them? And how do we track? And, how do we get on that journey? But the end goal here, from my point of view, is how do we build trust? So we are using all of this information, and we need to be able to come up with a strategy, mainly to rebuild trust. Okay. Now, if you have, I think the first point in resolving this issue of friction points is creating a support model. Okay. So what I mean by that is, how do we track and identify? There's got to be a fixed framework. How is the prioritization done? We're going to have a fixed framework. And then how do we assign ownership of all of these items? So let's say somebody in the team needs to be able to take responsibility for what are the friction points recording every month within their teams, or carrying out that audit to gather all of this information. And how do we sequentially build or improve the solution building strategies? I think that is one of the things, like building out the support model and assigning ownership, creating, okay, if this is a quick win, it's gonna, if you're only targeting the top 3 within the next month, these are some of the this is how we can do it. Can we deliver it in a week? Can we deliver it in a month? So we've been able to estimate that piece of work for the quick win, and also creating that accountability with the rest of the team. I think that's going to be one of the main. How do we define that support model is the first step. Next one is automation. How do we repeatedly remove steps where the system steps that can be offloaded to the system, and demonstrate that there's there's a stable automation that we're able to deliver pretty much every single output. There's no errors. So giving evidence for the high quality of data and giving evidence for how much of workload is being consumed by the system. That again generates the confidence. And the last one here is the reporting. So reporting, demonstrating the evidence that pretty much whatever we put together as a support model for our end users is working like it should. And then all the risks, all the issues that we have seen in the past are dropping in number. So producing that kind of a report and reinforcing the positive perspective of this business process is key to rebuild trust. Okay, I think we looked at this before. I think instead of saying please update D365, we need to switch that to how D365 is able to help you move forward faster. Okay. This is another add-on to pretty much all the support model conversation that we were covering recently. On this, like I previously mentioned, we're talking about AI being able to give you that leverage and the speed that you're looking for. Most people would have tried something like ChatGPT or Claude. You're able to see, the volume of documentation that you're able to produce is, it's much more faster. There's quite a bit of analysis work or searching. So previously we used to search on Google. We used to have to look at so many different websites and then combine all our thoughts on each of the website. Now the output we're seeing from ChatGPT and also Claude is a lot more trustable. And the reason why that's happening is because of the knowledge base that they're able to access. So same way, if your D365 has clean data, the output that you're going to see from either Copilot, ChatGPT, or any other AI that you would like to use to work with D365 is going to be much more effective. You don't have to ask multiple questions. The first prompt that you give to the AI could give you a result that is that might work. It's closer to what you're looking for. Okay. Now that's so having the right data model, having the right quality in data, and being able to complete that every single day is key. Okay. So before you can start thinking about having self-service AI, I think collecting usable knowledge is going to be the key. Okay. Now, how AI relies on, like I said, knowledge, having the right context, creating the right context, or recording the right context. Also, measurement of all the issues that have been happening in the past, and also what are the boundaries. So, in some areas, we might say, this type of data set is okay. This is okay to collect. This is not okay to collect. Pretty much all of those boundaries. Also, adhering to those rules is going to help you. So how does this? How do I see this fixing of friction points working out? Roughly, I would say collecting all your issues, friction points. I think that's what I mean by triaging your backlog, interviewing. So that's roughly the first step, and also mapping out the friction, how that is playing out in terms of to find out more about impact that it's causing, and what is the AI automation, AI readiness side of things that is having an impact. So these are some of the points that you want to analyze. And then once you prototype quick wins, and then access and design related rules that you have in place, analyzing that, you'll be able to see, okay, which one is going to be prioritized higher than the other issues that we're looking at. Having this will enable you to put together a plan. And then once you have a plan and having the right support to build it out, build the change into the system, I think that's going to be the last step. I'm not going to get into the detail of this because we've already spoken about this a few times before. Okay. So the output we're looking for here is identifying top 3 workarounds, having an issue register, and then what is AI use case shortlist, and then having a plan, a roadmap to identify what the quick fixes, and then automation points or automation steps, automation tasks mainly, and what are the changes that we can adopt. So having these 3, like attacking the top 3 every single time, I think that's going to be that has proven to be the most effective way to execute change into this into the end user business process. Okay. Yeah. So to sum it all up, right, we have we offer a D365 support workshop time and again. Like we've been doing this with most of our customers. And then if that is something you have any questions around it, please feel free to send us an email. I'm going to show you my contacts really quickly. Right. So connect@blackwater.tech, that is our email address. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. I'm happy to answer. And if you have any feedback on points that you think we could improve, that'll be really helpful. Please let us know. And thank you for joining us today. It's been really good sharing some of our knowledge. And I will look forward to catching up with you again at some point. Thank you.